And I give Erik Karlsson credit. In a Yowie story today, he said what the coach would not. People want to hear a little bit of outrage. The only thing I wanted to hear from Mike Sullivan today or yesterday was this was unacceptable.
Right.
We have the highest of standards here. We have high-end talent here. We brought in Erik Karlsson to push us over the top, the Norris Trophy winner, 100-point defenseman, and we got worse in some very key areas. I'm not going to accept this, and we're going to search long and hard this offseason to try to fix our problems. This was absolutely unacceptable. And Paul, it took Karlsson.
Right, who's only been here for 1 year.
To actually say that to Yowie today, where he was saying things just along those lines, like that we were a huge disappointment, Karlsson said. A huge disappointment. And that's right. That's accurate. And I credit him for saying that we didn't live up to expectations, underachieved. There's no other way to say it, Erik Karlsson said. Good for him. What about the coach?
Well, again, but the coach is part of the problem. I'm convinced of that. The coach is actually a part of the problem. Because at the end of the day, when you see a team that seemingly over the last few years, right, our play is never what it should be. They're never really good in overtime. They give up. They lose leads in the third period regularly. I mean, at some point you have to say, whatever they're doing is not working. And the fact that there is, Joe, and this is what the whole point of my column was. The whole point of my column was basically they keep trying to put this like bow and this happy face on, well, you know, we're really close. We proved it down the stretch. We really proved the way we did. And the reality is, if teams that they were chasing hadn't all fallen apart, they would have been nowhere close to a playoff spot. But they won and they got some points and all that, and that's great. But they also had the Flyers completely collapse, right? Detroit had a little stretch there where they couldn't win a game. Washington lost like 4 or 5 in a row before they figured it out. If all those things don't happen, they're not even in it still on Monday.
Right. That's the other galling thing is that a really bad hockey team got into the playoffs instead of that. And that's the Capitals.
And that's exactly right. And so there's no way to put a happy face on what happened this year. Because ultimately, Joe, if they had that spurt of what was it 10 games in a row or something where they got at least a point? Something
like that,
right?
Yeah.
In that last 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever?
Yeah, it was interrupted by the Boston game, but something like that.
Let's say if you flip that, put that in November, whatever stretch in November, bring it here, nobody would be talking about how this was a great season, or this was even a good season, or this was even a successful season. And as I said yesterday, last year they got 82 games from Crosby. They got 82 or 81 games from Malkin. I think they got 59 or 60 games from Letang, right? So he missed a little bit, but he really didn't miss that much. And this year they got 82 games, I think, from Karlsson, Malkin, Letang, and Crosby. All 4 of them. And guess what? They missed the playoffs both years. So please stop trying to tell me that this is the core that we're going to build a winner around, because it's very clear this core is no longer capable of carrying this team to the finish line to get them into the playoffs and get them to be contenders. And then we don't even have to. One other thing. You have your $6 million or $5.5 million or whatever he is goalie who was healthy all year. And that's been a problem for him. But he was actually healthy all year. So did you completely miscalculate on your goalie? Did you mishandle your goalie? Or did he just kind of show you who he is? Either way, you made and I'm fully convinced that Mike Sullivan was the loudest voice in the room saying, let's keep Tristan Jarry around, which means it's on you that your goalie, who played the whole season, but you had to bench him at the end of the most critical games, he didn't get it done either. Stop lying to yourself is all I want. Just stop lying to yourself about where you're at as a franchise and as a team.